So I just went back and just, looked at a few old diaries and realized just how mean I am towards my old self. By that, I mean, and you probably hear me do it on here a lot. I'll just be like, yeah, I was so messed up. I was so blah, blah, blah. And all those things are true. But, I think it's important to maybe go back and read old diaries and stuff like that every once in a while to get inside of the head of you 10, 15, 20 years ago. Because if one thing became so obvious to me is that not only did I have so much hatred towards myself, but I also was trying so hard. Thank you for this comment, by the way. For context, if you want to hit this comment, you go back to the video before where I realized that so much of my self-hatred was like making everyone else's life hard in addition to mine, by shutting people up, by apologizing, just assuming that everyone hated me so much all the time that I couldn't really show up for anybody like fully because I'm just like I'm navel gazing, right? But just like, okay, in one of my many diaries, there's like 40 in this thing behind me. So this is just a few. This is just a little snapshot. It also is abundantly clear that I am so ADHD because this is a mess. I would do like free writing a lot of times. And this thing right here, it says somebody is gonna die because I'm so bad. I really lived in constant fear that like there was something so wrong with me that like I'm responsible for everybody. Like just every day I was trying to figure out what is wrong with Melanie. What's wrong with Melanie? Every day while living in my truck, while living in a cubicle in New York City, literally a cubicle in an office building with 10 other people for Outward Bound because I couldn't afford housing and I moved to New York for that job. Literally, no matter where I lived, in the back of a truck for years, in a tent, in a cubicle in New York City, or even when I, finally, started, becoming I was about to say something very judgmental. I was about to say a big girl, but you know what? When I started kind of transitioning into a different part of my life. Every day in these journals, I'm like, okay, how was I being selfish today? How was I being every day, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And at the same time, I was writing letters to myself in New Mexico, from New Mexico. Literally, like, I was so desperate to love myself and stop hating myself. I really just didn't want to hate myself, y'all. There's a part of me that just loves life and has always loved life and been so excited about life. And then there's this other part of me that constantly is just like, but you suck. And these two have been fighting each other since I can remember. And I know that most of that, or maybe all of that, is rooted in childhood trauma, socialization, all the things, right? Patriarchy, childhood essay, tiptoeing around a narcissist, all that stuff, right? Okay, whatever. I don't even care where it comes from anymore. I just wanted to not be doing this. So look at this. I would send like dumb stickers because I just thought they were funny, and and I wrote a whole letter to myself, the same address to and from, and it's like, dear Melanie, you are okay. You can survive anything. One of the bravest people I know. You inspire others. You can write this book. At this point, I think whenever I wrote this, I had written a book proposal and it didn't sell. And I thought, I just wanted to give up. And I thought, whatever. I was like in a major spiral. You're not a self-sabotager. Not anymore. You're honest. You're trying. You have a big heart. I'm just like, yay, Melanie, go. Don't stop just because you hate yourself. Who does this? Like, maybe lots of people. Found in this book, when I was flipping through it, it said something like, your sense of humor is one of your gifts. Stop self-destructing so you can share it. Doesn't mean I'm like, a genius or anything. It just meant like I always knew I could make people laugh. And I always knew I was really good at telling stories. And I always knew that the thing that kept me from being able to create beautiful things and share any of that was my self-hatred, Not only was I just like writing letters to myself, I was taking notes, highlighting things, rereading things, reading books, taking notes on books. And then in the middle of all of this mess, that's just full of papers upon papers and papers, guess what I found? My college degree. Couldn't find that. I found it in a journal from 2006 or something. And I swear to God, realizing that I had ADHD makes this funny instead of like, what is wrong with you, Melanie? In the middle of all these journals being like, because I've talked about this before. I was bulimic for a really long time. I really struggled with multiple self-harm things for a long time. But I mean, I was like chronically bulimic, like terrified. I mean, like, blood in my, whatever. I don't want trigger warning, sorry. But in the middle of all that, I found this. I never lost my sense of humor. I bought this for myself. It says, "You're really starting to grow on me." I just bought myself cards to make myself laugh. Sometimes I'd take notes on this stationery that I bought. That's like, oh, how funny to be like an old scrolly, old-timey paper. Like, look at this, y'all. Look, the teeny tiny writing stuff, just every day being like, okay, this is what I ate today. I think I was good. I'm trying to be a good person. Like, look how tiny that is, y'all. I just want to take a moment to really honor younger Melanie. Because even though I was just such a mess for such a long time, I never gave up. I was trying so hard. There's one of these journals is just the summer when I was like really struggling with bulimia and stuff. And I was living in this trailer with no heat in New Mexico, cold as fork, no bathroom. I had to crap in a bucket outside on the porch. That cooler right here, this cooler right here, that was my refrigerator, which didn't make any sense because everything just froze solid all the time. I had a plug that went to the restaurant that I worked at. I was camping in the backyard of the restaurant that I worked at. Paid $100 for this trailer, which was hilarious because 3 sides of it were camouflaged. And I was living in this trailer right here. One of the reasons why I didn't have money is because all of my money went towards healing. And I was living in Taos, and Taos is, small, and there's not a whole lot of therapists there. There's plenty, but like the ones that I needed, I drove to Santa Fe once a week and spent $100 on a nutritionist and $100 on a therapist and however much on gas. I did that once a week. Every penny I made was going into healing myself and to stop hating myself. I mean, it's probably like $250 a week, every week. And so then I lived with no heat and no running water and all this stuff because I was so determined to heal. But healing is very expensive. And this was my apartment in New York. This cubicle made out of sheets in an office building. And my mattress was under the stairs, and that staircase led to that door behind me right there. And, I was in so much debt. I didn't know how to pay my bill. I was, just a mess. I hated myself, but I kept trying. Every day. And everything I made was going towards trying to not hate myself. And so, I just want to take a moment to really be I didn't realize. Sometimes I forget that younger me was pretty freaking cool. She was full of unresolved trauma and self-sabotaging and couldn't have healthy relationships and was really a mess. But my God, she was brave. And she was determined. And she was even disciplined because I never missed a day. Every day I was writing all this stuff. Just all my spare time was trying to heal. All my money trying to heal. And, it would take at least 10, 15 more years before I got to a place where I actually, was it peace? Although I'm never going to be fully at peace. This is an ongoing thing, right? I'm never healed. I'm always going to be working on myself. Anyway, I guess the reason why I want to tell you this is because sometimes it's good to go back and look at old journals and just hear that voice of your old self and be grateful for it instead of so hard on it, so judgmental, so shaming, God, you really was a mess back then. Yeah, okay, but I never gave up and I never lost my sense of humor. Never. So I'm really proud of myself and I'm really grateful. And maybe all this is one reason why I do this. I feel like sharing my story helps people because other people's stories saved my life. I'm forever grateful to them.